you ever lived in your neighborhood and felt like someone was making promises, but then disappeared once the cameras flashed and stopped? Sadly, that's what's been happening for years in the northeast Kansas City, Kansas area. But Kansas City, Kansas Mayor Tyrone Gardner is drawing the line in the sand. No more empty promises. The fight to rebuild northeast Kansas City, Kansas is here, in the heart of Wyandotte County. Tucked east of Interstate 635 lies a community that has felt the heavy hand of disinvestments for decades. This place is often known as Northeast Kansas City, Kansas, often overlooked and often dismissed. For years, this area has battled with property underdevelopment and neglect. Grocery stores are rare. Senior housing is scarce. But liquor stores and halfway houses, there's plenty of them. It's not just a coincidence either. It's a pattern, a systematic pattern of zoning, funding, and political oversight that has left the Black and brown and poor community in the dust. Tyrone Gardner, the mayor of Kansas City, Kansas, a man who has seen the game played too long, has decided to push back.
Things going on at the state level, trying to do exactly what the unified government is. We can talk the talk. Until you put money and a commitment and you're intentional about doing things, it's just all talk. I can tell you, as long as I'm mayor, I'm going to continue to push for this area as part of my overall objectives. Everything east of 635, but more importantly, this area north. East Kansas City, Kansas has been disinvested and disenfranchised for far too long. What I'm going to continue to fight against is halfway houses, liquor stores, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we don't need in the Northeast. We can put halfway houses up here. We can put in liquor stores, but nobody wants to put a grocery store. I have a problem with that. We need senior housing, affordable senior housing. We're working with our administrator on that. There's been some talks. There's some big things on the horizon that could come as a result of our commitments. And so all I can tell you is stay tuned. The state is looking, the federal government is looking, the unified government is working hard to make sure, again, and I know the commissioner mentioned it, he didn't like to say ruins, but we have got to work together to take the Quindaro ruins out of ruin, and we've got to stay firm. And I can tell you, you don't go to your commission meetings, go to your commission meetings. Know who your elected officials are. I can't tell you who to vote for. Don't let people bamboozle you. They'll come in here with a t-shirt and say, vote for me, and they'll get up to City Hall and they'll say, do exactly the opposite of what they said they will do. You've got to hold those people accountable. And me, I can say what I'm going to do, because I can vote too. I'm going to vote you out. If you don't stand firm to your commitment to the people of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas, you got to go. Because these political games that have been played on Wyandotte County have hurt the Black, brown, and poor community of Wyandotte County more than anything else. That's why the Northeast looks the way it looks. They'll walk in these meetings and smile and hug you, take a selfie with a Vote For Me t-shirt on. They go up to City Hall and look what we've been left with. Look at our community. It's shameful. We've got to get people in these positions that are going to be committed, not to the unified government, but to this community. And that power lies in you. I'm going to do everything in my power to make a difference. You all need to know that you are the difference, and the only thing I can ask you as mayor, moving forward, please be that difference. Because if you're not, what you see is what you're going to do. Thank you. I love you all. God bless you. Thank you, Mr. D.
As you see from hearing the mayor talk, he is tired of seeing broken promises. He's tired of seeing elected officials take selfies with voters only to flip the script once elected. Did you know in Wyandotte County, 30% of residents live below the poverty line. Access to healthy food is limited. And here's the sad truth. In some parts of northeast Kansas City, Kansas, it's easier to buy a bottle of liquor than a bag of apples. Senior citizens are living without proper housing or medical resources. And believe me, these aren't just statistics. These are lives. Mayor Tyrone Gardner states, "As long as I am mayor, I will push for everything east of 635. I will fight against halfway houses, liquor stores, and every other thing that doesn't belong here unless we have grocery stores too." He also states, you gotta know your elected officials, which is very true, we have to. Don't let them hug you or lie to you. And to me, Mayor Tyrone Gardner is definitely right. You see, this isn't just about politics anymore. It's about the people. It's about the people of Wyandotte County who have been misled by smiling politicians who speak with charm but vote with indifference. Wyandotte County dates back to the 1930s when banks and government agencies denied Black immigrants community access to home loans, contributing to long-term poverty and decay. According to the USDA Food Access Research, over 13% of Wyandotte County residents live in food deserts, lacking access to fresh groceries. In 2019, KCK ranked among the lowest in Kansas City for public infrastructure investments per capita. Every moment starts with a moment, one where people stop waiting for change and start building it themselves. The Vernon Center promises a blueprint for community rebirth. Community leaders, board members, architects, and local visionaries gather not in suites and spectacles, but with sleeves rolled up and eyes focused on a common purpose. This purpose is restoration, reinvestment, and representation. Among them is Clarence Brown, architect and board member who spent countless hours reviewing bids, inspecting plans, and holding meetings.
Architect, to a few words, if you wouldn't mind telling us coming up. So our architect, these are the people that have been going through the bids and interviewing and spent a lot of hours. Is that right, Clarence? Lots of hours getting things. Yes, me too. Okay. So Clarence Brown, if you would stand up. He's also a board member.
Well, let me say this. I've been trying to hold my peace. What we're doing here is, I don't want to say it's historical, because it's something we should be doing anyway. But I want you to say, look where we were, and look where we are. We've just begun, but we can't do it without you. Let's not pretend that what we're doing is without help. Mr. Burroughs, I want you to say you committed to the Vernon Center too. I heard you say that committed to the other places there, but I want you to say you committed to the Vernon Center as well.
I am CB, and you know me well enough. When I give you my word, I'm gonna stick to it.
Well, I know you well. You a good man. You a good man. But I want you to say it, and that's all I ask. From not just him, but from all of us. We've got a job to do here. And this job is going to help not just the few. It's going to turn this community around. We are the catalysts. Because once we get started, they can see what we're doing. The other people are going to try to do something too. That's the goal.
This is personal. It's not just about building structures. It's about rebuilding trust. This moment, it wasn't just a renovation. It was a revival. And let me tell you this is exactly how movements start. Not within an explosion of intention, but with quiet convictions shared in rooms full of hope and hard truth. It's important to understand that what this moment means. You see, in northeast Kansas City, Kansas, 25% of buildings sit vacant and abandoned. Housing insecurity is rising and community centers have been closing, not opening. Many residents live more than a mile from a full-service grocery store. The Vernon Center isn't just a building. It's a response to the injustice. It's a center of healing, gathering, education, and lifting up the voices that have been silenced. They're not pretending. It won't be easy. I'm not saying it won't be easy, but it will be possible. I honestly believe we need more community centers in Wyandotte County. In 2022, a community survey served by the United Way KCK revealed that 70% of Kansas City, Kansas residents lack access to after-school or youth enrichment programs in the area. A study by the Urban Institute also found that neighborhoods east of I-635 receive 42% less capital investments than the western areas in Kansas City, Kansas. Sometimes the place that your heart isn't where you live. It's where you belong. For Clarence Brown, that place was Kansas City, Kansas, and the Vernon Center became his calling.
It's a long story how I got tagged to this Vernon Center, but it is in my heart. That's why I'm here. Registered architect. I'm originally from Leavenworth, Kansas. But being from Leavenworth, Kansas, I used to come down at least every couple weeks to KCK and go to Indian Springs Mall. And Kansas City, Kansas felt like my second home. I did live here for a short time. I live in Olathe right now. But Kansas City, Kansas is in my heart. And the Vernon Center is too. This project became on my radar screen about 6 years ago. I had formed a nonprofit here in an interest to try to help this. So I feel like a guy who's on the outside of the fishbowl. I'm looking to jump in to help make this a reality. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Clarence Brown is a registered architect. Clarence didn't grow up in the city, but as a young man, he drove down every couple of weeks just to spend time in KCK. He shopped at Indian Springs Mall, walked the streets with friends, and slowly the city became more than just a stop. It became his second home. And even though Clarence moved away, the connections remained strong. So when the Vernon Center project came across his radar nearly 6 years ago, it wasn't just a job. It was a mission. The Indian Springs Mall was a gathering place for Black and brown families in KCK. It was torn down in 2016, leaving physical and emotional gap. The Vernon Center has now become a symbolic restoration of that loss. The Vernon Center area sits within District 1 of Wyandotte County, which has one of the highest poverty rates in the region. Indian Springs Mall was once a hub of economic and social activity. It was demolished in 2016, leaving behind vacant land and lost history. The Vernon Center could become the new heart of this community. You see, sometimes restoring a building means restoring a community's faith within itself. And for architects like Stan Harley, It all started with a mop, a rope, and a bucket of paint.
So just thinking of our architect who's gonna be starting these those dreams and visions becoming reality.
So thank you. As Helen said, I'm Dan Hernley. I'm located in Lawrence. My architecture firm, I came to Lawrence in 1983, and my wife and I were going to be there for 2 years when I went to graduate school. And I finished that, and here it is 40 some years later, and we're still in Lawrence. I've always had a real special place in my heart for old buildings, and especially old schools. My father, I grew up in Indiana. My father was a janitor at an elementary school, 3-story building. Every summer, I would help paint floors and work on the roofs and reglaze the windows. And I really got to see what it took to keep up in those buildings. When I got to Lawrence and graduated, also a Jayhawk with Phil, we almost worked at the same firm. He doesn't know it yet. I almost had a job at Trainer Architects at the same time that he did. But I ended up working with a firm in downtown Lawrence. My very first historic rehabilitation project was turning the Eldridge Hotel from a rundown apartment building back into a hotel in 1987. And ever since then, so 87, I opened up my own firm. So I've had a firm in Lawrence since then, and we've really focused a lot on historic preservation. Over the last 40 years, I've worked on hundreds and hundreds of old buildings, and more recently on historic rehabilitations that use various funding incentives. And one of the things that I've learned about historic preservation is that it's not really about saving old buildings. It's about economic development. And it's about, the thing about economic development with the historic building and rehabilitating a historic building is that a lot of the materials of the building are already here. And what you're spending money on, more money on, is people to fix those materials. So more of your funds stay in the local community, so you're paying local workers to work in the building, not spending as much on these materials. So where we're at with this project, we're getting ready to start the first phase. We've been working with the board for a couple of years now. We prepared a historic structure report, basically looked at the building up and down and put together a list of all of the things that could be done for the building to bring it back to its original glory. And you get to the bottom line on the spreadsheet, and it's a really big number. And what tends to happen with historic rehabilitation projects is that you don't get all of that money all at once. You end up getting it over a long period of time. And so we've implemented a plan that looks at all of the things that are going to be done, and we're going to begin implementing some of those things. A year ago, the first thing on the list was fixing the roof so that we keep the water out. So if you can keep the water out, you're going a long way to stopping the deterioration that happens inside of the building. So the next phase is an interior rehabilitation project. It's going to be mostly on the east side of the building. There'll be some work done in here. The bathrooms will be upgraded. Everybody's here for the bathroom. And so as part of the rehabilitation project, what we're going to be finding are things like the old chalkboard. And we're going to keep those. we don't take those out. We figure out how to incorporate them into the new use that's going to be taking place in the rooms around the building. The steps as we go forward, you know, it's great to have, you know, I've never been to a kickoff event like this for a project ever. This is totally awesome.
Brick by brick, architect Stan Harley's mission is to revive the Vernon Center. His name is Stan Harley, and he is a seasoned architect based in Lawrence, Kansas. He never planned to stay long, just 2 years for graduate school and his wife back in 1983. But nearly 40 years later, they're still here. And Stan's been quietly changing the Kansas landscape ever since. But his passion for old buildings goes back even further. Stanley Harley says, I grew up in Indiana. My father was a janitor at an old-story elementary school. Every summer, I helped them paint floors, replace windows, and worked on the ropes. Those summer memories left a mark on Stan. Not just the smell of old wood and fresh paint, but the feeling of preserving something with a purpose. And that's exactly what leads him to the Vernon Center project. Stan Harley's story is not just about architecture, it's about legacy. From his childhood in Indiana to his historic projects across Kansas and now the Vernon Center. His fingerprints are all over the spirit and revitalization of Kansas. It's not just building for the day. He's laying the foundation for a new generation. According to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, for every $1 million spent on building rehabilitation, more than 36 jobs are created. Historic rehabilitation also returns more dollars to the local economy, making it a community-first investment. The Vernon Center isn't just saved, it's being reborn. Some stories don't live in the history books. They live in the bloodlines and broken roots and houses barely standing, but still refusing to fall. The house that holds our history. One woman's fight to save the Quindaro Museum just blocks away from the Vernon Center in Kansas City, Kansas, sits a small, crumbling house full of history. It's known as the Quindaro Museum, and it once belonged to Mr. Walker, the caretaker of the historic Western University, one of the first black colleges of West Mississippi. Today, the home teeter on the edge of destruction, not because demolition orders, but because of decay, neglect, and the slow erosion of time. But there's one woman, a fourth-generation descendant of slaves, who refused to let that legacy vanish. From her ancestors, who were enslaved to her uncles, who dreamed to the child she now raises. This is legacy work, and she will keep going because history depends on it, because the community deserves it, and because the past only lives on when we choose to fight for it.
Museum, which is a house not even a block away. It was owned by Mr. Walker, who was the caretaker for Western University. And I mean, we're in a real time of erasure of history. Kind of like Mr. Burroughs was saying, our project is one of those projects that's kind of on the verge of that demolition due to destruction. I mean, the house is literally falling apart. And my uncle Jesse Hope, he passed away in 2015. He worked on the project. I was a little girl then. I was on my way to college at the time. It honestly, it wasn't even in the back of my mind. It wasn't something I was thinking about. I came home from college in 2018 after he passed away. My dad was having a really hard time with it, and so I offered to take it over from him. COVID happened a little bit after that. I had a daughter in 2019, so I got thrown off course a little bit, but I'm kind of in that phase where I've been a team of one for a long time. I can kind of attest I've been getting a bunch of no's, never really any yeses. Right now we're fundraising to fix the roof. That's a $30,000 project. I've raised $20,000 on my own so far. So I'm pretty close. It's a really small house, but it has so much history. We focus on the slave families. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, Helen Hope, her family, the Monroe family. I'm a 4th generation descendant of slaves from Black County, Missouri. We came to Quindaro. We've lived here. My parents still live here, less than a minute drive away. So it's a labor of love for me. It's like a real project of love, and it's something that I'm really striving for. I just created a board of young people, and we're putting our minds together to try to raise the money. I heard somebody say the roof is the hardest thing. It really is the hardest thing. It really is the hardest thing. So I appreciate being able to be in the room and hear what you guys had to go through and see that I have a possibility of making it to where you guys are, because I'm in that get to where the Vernon Center is. My father went to school here. He went to elementary school here. My uncle did. My grandparents did. A lot of my family, my great aunt sung in the Jackson Jubilee Singers at Western University. So we have a lot of history in the area. And our museum focuses on the slave history and the family history in the area, and we loved sharing that with community. My uncle went to elementary schools. He had field trips that came to the school, so I want to sort of get back to giving that history to our youth, because it is gone. It's currently disappearing. A lot of kids don't know about Quindaro, so I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
We as elders have to get back to the history for the youth, because it's slowly vanishing right before our eyes. They say history repeats itself, but only if we remember it. According to Roger Suggs, remembering means filming, writing, and fighting for it. A distracted race will get erased. Roger Suggs fights for the spotlight, for a forgotten history. You see, Roger Suggs is a respected mentor, filmmaker, and media producer from Kansas City, Kansas. He didn't plan to walk into the historic Vernon Center. The first time it happened was while filming a documentary with Toyota and American Pet. He states, "I didn't even know it existed when I walked in." But what he saw changed his mission. Since then, Roger has documented 16 stories across Kansas City, preserving the voices of places like Wilson, Vernon, and Quindaro, and a Black history tucked behind the warm bricks and the broad windows. Roger believes history fades not just because it's stolen, but because it is forgotten.
Hi, I'm Roger Suggs, Kansas Community College. I did a project here during COVID with Toyota, with American Patent. That's when I first walked into this, and we put it out there nationally. And Toyota had a thing about it. They didn't know this even existed when I did it. I'm gonna have to give the video to him so he can let y'all see it. We had talked to, what's the gentleman, Luther Smith, who came in here. Toyota gave us a national deal. I had 16 documentaries I did of this, not just this area, but of Wilson and all those. So what I want to say is, I say this all the time, a distracted race will get erased. So we have to get back into the focus of this and let students know, like you were saying, and let people know what this is. To me, this is history. We had a young girl that came and saw this history. She wrote a book called The Day in the Life of Akai, where it's a fantasy book where she turned down going to Yale to go to Western University. And it's a book that talks about that, and have a picture that she had got from it. Like, we need to get this history out and let people know to not just help. Y'all not doing this by yourself. This whole county needs to be behind this right here.
He urges the community to refocus, not just emotionally, but logically. This includes documentation, storytelling, filmmaking, and public engagement. This is exactly why I'm making this documentary. Did you know that social media engagement with historic storytelling increases fundraising success by 48%? As Roger Suggs, videographer, it is an honor and privilege, as well as a spiritual duty, to tell and record this documentary. You see, when your roots run deep, history isn't just something you read. It's something you remember in your feet, your family, and your foundation. From the broken bricks to the unshakable roots, from the voices of the past to the builders of the future. This is more than just a documentary. It's a living testimony, a reminder that our history doesn't belong in silence. It belongs in the hands of the people who care enough to fight for it. I am Jackie Terry, and I am honored to present to you this documentary story. A story built on truth, legacy, and love for Kansas City, Kansas. A story that proves that when you come together, we don't just restore buildings, we restore hope. Thank you for watching, and I thank you for believing in the power of the community. I'm Jackie Terry, and if you like this video, give it a subscribe, comment, rewatch it, and let's help rebuild the community.
I'm a native of KCK. Learned to run the neighborhood really young. When I was 3 years old, I was out running the grounds of the Quindaro ruins. And of course, it's called ruins today. I was here when Quindaro was a town.
And your persuasion, have them specify some money to the Vernon Center. It will help the Vernon Center, and it will help their ability to reduce their taxable income.
What my father has shared with me, this is clearly hallowed grounds, and so anything that I can do to help with the fundraising and other things. So we're working with the team to try to identify and bring some additional grant dollars here through our partners at the state. And the State Department of Commerce, Kansas Commerce, is really looking at ways to engage in our community. And so we've got our fingers crossed that we can go source some additional dollars there. But thank you for the work, Miss Helen, that you and Mr. Patton and Mr. Smith, all of you do, and Nakia, right? And we need to uplift Nakia. I wish Olivia Moore, just down the road, Bell Crossing Farms. This generation is doing some amazing things to continue this work. So I want to uplift Vernon. I also want to uplift Nakia, and I'll leave it with my son is also here. So that history went from my father to me. And when we had an event here, as you know, Mr. Patton, I made Zane come and set us up and all of that. So now my son Zane will hopefully learn this history and come back in 40 years and tell his kids about it.